All right, we're ready to read Chapter 2, Dumb Miss Daisy and Principal Klutz. So how did Miss Daisy trick the kids during math class? That's what we're going to listen for. And why does the narrator, who we found out is AJ, why does he say the principal's head looked like a giant egg? Why does he say that? Let's find out. Chapter 2, page 7. Please follow along. Miss Daisy said it was time for us to clear off our desks and see how much we knew about arithmetic. That's another word for math. Ugh, if I gave you 58 apples and Principal Klutz took 28 of them away, Miss Daisy asked, how many apples would you have left, AJ? Who cares how many apples you would have left, I said. I hate apples. If you asked me, you and Principal Klutz can take all the apples away and it wouldn't bother me a bit. You would have 30 apples, said the girl, Andrea Young, in the front of the class. She had a big smile on her face, like she had just opened all her birthday presents. Andrea Young thinks she's so smart. I hate arithmetic, I announced. You know what, Miss Daisy said. I hate arithmetic too. You do? We all said. Sure. I don't even know what you get if you multiply 4 times 4. You don't? I have no idea, Miss Daisy said, scratching her head, wrinkling up her forehead like she was trying to figure it out. Maybe one of you kids can explain it to me. Boy, Miss Daisy was really dumb. Even I know what you get when you multiply 4 times 4. But that smarty pants I know everything girl, Andrea Young, beat me to it and got called on first. If you put 4 crayons in a row, she told Miss Daisy as she put a bunch of crayons on the top of her desk, and you make 4 rows of 4 crayons, you'll have 16 crayons. See? Then she counted the crayons from 1 to 16. Miss Daisy looked at the crayons on Andrea's desk. She had a puzzled look on her face. I'm not sure I understand, she said. Can somebody else explain it to me? Michael Robinson, this kid wearing a red t-shirt with a dirt bike on it, explained 4 times 4 again using pencils. He had 16 pencils on his desk in 4 rows of 4 pencils. Miss Daisy still had a look on her face like she didn't understand. What would happen if you subtracted half of the pencils, she asked. Michael took away 2 rows of the pencils and put them in his pencil box. Well, then you're going to have 8 pencils. 16, take away half of them would be 8, we all said. Andrea Young added, half of 16 is 8. Miss Daisy wrinkled up her forehead until it was almost like an accordion. She still didn't get it. She started counting the pencils on Michael's desk out loud and using her fingers. She got it all wrong. We gathered around Michael's desk and tried to explain to Miss Daisy how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide numbers using the pencils. Nothing worked. Miss Daisy had to be the dumbest teacher in the history of the world. No matter how many times we tried to explain, she kept shaking her head. I'm sorry, she said. It will take me a while to understand arithmetic. Maybe you can explain it to me more tomorrow. For now, we have to clean off our desks because Principal Klutz is going to come in and talk to us. I know all about principals. My friend Billy from around the corner, who was in 2nd grade last year, told me that the principal is like the king of the school. He runs everything. Billy says that if you break the rules, you have to go to the principal's office, which is in a dungeon down in the basement. Kids in the dungeon get locked up and are forced to listen to their parents' old CD for hours. It must be horrible. Miss Daisy told us to be on our best behavior so Principal Klutz would see how mature we were. Finally, he walked into our room. "Welcome to the second grade," he said cheerfully. "I'm sure we are going to have a wonderful year together." Principal Klutz said a lot of stuff about the rules of the school. We're not allowed to run in the halls. We're not allowed to chew gum. Stuff like that. But I wasn't listening very closely because I kept staring at his head. He had no hair at all. I mean, none. His head looked like a giant egg. When Principal Klutz was all done telling us about the rules of the school, he asked if anybody had any questions about what he had said. "Did all your hair fall out of your head?" I asked. "Or did you cut it off?" Everybody laughed, even though I didn't say anything funny. Miss Daisy looked at me with a mean face. "Actually, it was both," Principal Klutz replied with a chuckle. "Almost all of my hair fell out on its own, so I decided to shave the rest of it off." "That's the saddest story I ever heard," said a girl named Emily, and she burst into tears. "Don't feel bad," Principal Klutz said. "It could have been a lot worse." "How?" sniffled Emily. "Well, at least my brain didn't fall out of my head." We all laughed, even Emily. Principal Klutz was a pretty funny guy for a principal. Any other questions? Do you think Principal Klutz thought that would be a question that a student would ask? Probably not. But do you think he dealt with it pretty good? Yeah, I think he probably brought humor into the class and showed them that's an innocent question. Kids want to know about those things. But was that good manners of AJ to ask that? No. People shouldn't ask if their hair fell out of their head. "Do you have a dungeon down in the basement where you put the bad kids?" I asked. Is that another appropriate question? No, probably not. "Actually, the dungeon is on the 3rd floor," Principal Klutz replied. Boy, he's kind of following along with his humor, isn't he? He's kind of handling it well. Nobody laughed this time. He quickly told us that he was just making a joke and that he didn't have a dungeon at all. Good sense of humor. Principal Klutz must have felt bad that we didn't think his joke was funny, because he invited us all up to the front of the room to touch his bald head. We did, and that made everybody feel a lot better. Principal Klutz seemed nice, but a lot of people seem nice when you first meet them. Then later, you find out that they are evil villains who plan to take over the world. Is that true? No, I don't think that's true. I bet he was lying about the dungeons. And that's the end of chapter 2. Do you think that Principal Klutz was lying about the dungeons? I don't think so. I think he was being pretty honest. So, what did Mrs. Daisy do to trick the kids? Is she really a teacher that doesn't know how to do math and hates math? She said she does. She said she doesn't get it. Or was that a trick? Yup, that's right. It was a trick. Why did she want to trick the kids? By her saying that she didn't understand, could somebody else please explain it over and over again? That made it so that kids had to explain how to do the math. And did you know when people explain how to do things, guess what? They learn it even better. So she kind of tricked the kids. She really did know how to do the math, didn't she? Do you actually think she really does like school and she was just tricking AJ in the first chapter? We'll find out. And the last question was, why does the narrator say the principal's head looks like a giant egg? I'm going to have you comment below on that. And we'll be ready to read chapter 3 next time.